Does anybody have the contact information for Karen Roche? That was the lady who came here about 10 years ago and did linguistic studies on Alsatian. We know
The lady that was from Fredericksburg and then she taught somewhere else.
I need an email. Okay, so nobody knows. Okay, go to slide number 88, please.
They're going to get you one single view. I think they're going to get you.
Yeah, you go right down over here.
But I don't know if that's the right number that she's.
Right here, that's the single view, right there. That thing. Well, it's supposed to be. Yeah,
There you go.
okay. Guten Abend. Tonight we're going to do something a little different that I haven't done before because I was afraid that I wouldn't get finished. Okay? This time you're gonna say some of the same things that I say. I'm going to tell you how to say them. We're all going to say them together. Okay? Now, one important component in any language is prepositions because they give you directions directly or indirectly. So what we're going to do now is go through the prepositions. Okay. The first one is ab, A-B. And it's used in separable verbs, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but it means away. One that's used a lot is on, A-N, means to or on. Okay? Like you're driving to something, you're looking forward to something. So here, this is an der Straße nach Kolmar, on the street to Kolmar. So, we're all going to say this together. An der Straße nach Kolmar. And nach means toward. Okay? An der Straße nach Kolmar. Remember Straße, it's got an R, so you wrote it like a spinning. Straße. Auf means on or upon. It's used for location. Okay, you remember what a handy is? Cell phone, right. Isn't that a great name for a cell phone? Well, by the way, in German, yes, there are these words like das Computer. But did you know in France, there's a law that you can only have so many foreign words in the French language, and there's a government office that can say, no, you can't use that word. But in German, they just put das or die or der on everything. Okay. So what does this say? It says, my cell phone lies on the table. Meine Handy liegt auf dem Tisch. Meine Handy liegt auf dem Tisch. Tisch means table. Next slide, please. Aus, that's from or out of. Aus wo kommst du? Aus wo kommst du? From where do you come? This is if you were listening to... there's some other ways you can say, for example, sometimes I'll be talking with people and I can hear that they used to speak German. They were born in Germany, but when they speak English, there are certain words. Germans cannot say THs. They cannot say the. When you say the, you put your tongue right behind your upper teeth to make the the. And with them, it always comes out D. It always comes out like a D. They just can't say the. So you listen to people speak. Anyway, and I might say, aus wo Deutschland kommen Sie? From where in Germany do you come? And then a lot of times I get this ugly look and they say, ich komme aus Österreich. I come from Austria. Well, you know, it happens. Außer, except. Außer Sonntag, arbeite ich jeder Tag. Right, so we go, außer Sonntag, arbeite ich jeder Tag. Jeden Tag. And like J-A-H-R is year, it's yar. Yeah. Anyway, now remember, it says, except Sundays I work every day, but that's not what you actually say. Except Sunday. What's the second word in the sentence always got to be? The verb.
The verb.
So we have also Sonntag, except Sunday. Here's the verb. Arbeite ich jeder Tag. Work I every day. Okay, by means with or near, almost like by. By. Lebt by mir. Lebt by mir. He lives by me. Next slide. Bis. This is a great preposition. Until. Bis gestern war gesund. Okay, let's all say it. Bis gestern war gesund. Until yesterday. What's the second element in the sentence? It's the verb again, once again. Until yesterday, was he healthy? Okay, and that's just the way the sentence structure is. It's always got to be the second element in the sentence has got to be the verb. You could have a long prepositional phrase first, something like that, but the second one's always got to be the verb. Bis bald. Bis bald. Well, when do you say that? Oh, you've been talking to someone and you're going to get off the phone and they say, oh, okay, bis bald. Tschüss. And then you hang up. Or you put it in a note. You write. A lot of times when we're going to Alsatian, it's just a week before we're going to get there. At the end of the note, I'll put bis bald. Bis nächste Woche. Until next week. Now remember, it's not nächste. It's the AE. Bis nächste Woche. Until next week. Durch. Through, across, by means of. Okay, this is kind of a big sentence here. I'll read it first. Durch diese Forschung lernen wir mehr. Durch diese Forschung lernen wir mehr. Through this research, learn we more. Now see, once again, this is a long prepositional phrase here, but the second element in the sentence always has to be the verb. So it's through this research, learn we more. Okay? And then it also means to go through. Wir gehen durch das Tor. All right, let's go. Come on. Wir gehen durch das Tor. Tor is gate. Next slide. Entlang. It means along. I can't say I've ever used this preposition in my entire life speaking German. It means along, like along the street. All right, and this is one of those. To run is rennen, R-E-N-N-E-N, but this is that's the preterite, that's the past, the thing that I just always hate. Rannte die Straße entlang. Rannte die Straße entlang. So we got a rolled R here, rannte, and then we got Straße. Für. Für is used for, no, remember, it's not for, it's not for. Für. It's F-U-E-R, that's the umlaut in there. Kocht für seine Freundin. He cooks for his girlfriend. And there's this weird thing about German. It's completely sexist, and I wish they'd get rid of it. But they have, for nouns, you can identify if this is a profession or a person. You can identify whether they're a male or a female without knowing the article that goes in the front by the ending of it. It's der Freund, the male friend, die Freundin. And so even with like der Arzt, that's the doctor, a female doctor is der Arztin, I-N. Same way with Lehrer. Now Lehrer is kind of a hard one because you got two R's there. Lehrer, the male teacher, Lehrerin, the female teacher. Okay? Next one, gegen means against. Gegen the Mauer. Gegen die Mauer, against the wall. And gegenüber is one of those ones I like it just because I like saying it. Gegenüber. It's kind of fun. Opposite, across from. I'll read this and we'll read it together. Mein Hotel war gegenüber dem Restaurant. Mein Hotel war gegenüber dem Restaurant. My hotel was across the street from the restaurant. Hinter means behind. Der Besser ist hinter die Tür. Der Besser ist hinter die Tür. The broom is behind the door. Next slide. In just means in like, or into. It's just like it is in English. So, for example, in den letzten 2 Jahren, in den letzten 2 Jahren, in the last 2 years. Mit means with. Komm mit means come with me. So I'll read this and then we'll do it together. Kommst du mit mir bitte? Kommst du mit mir bitte? Come you with me, please. Hat mir gesagt. Hat mir gesagt. He has said to me. And the next word is going to be that, and that's when you end up with those horrible complex sentences where the next element in there, the verb is going to come at the end of the sentence. Okay? For hat mir gesagt, dass war spät sein, that he will late to be. Anyway. Now, what you can always say is, you can say, ich habe nicht mit ihm gesprochen. And then you say, sagte, I have spoken with him, and then you say it, and then you don't have to make the complex sentence. Now, knock is very interesting because it's often used to say where you're going, like again, nach Kolmar. Remember, Anderstrasse, nach Kolmar. It also means after. Wir fahren nach Kolmar. All right, let's say it together. Wir fahren nach Kolmar. Nach der Schule, wir können Eis essen. Nach der Schule, wir können Eis essen. After school, we can eat ice cream. And when you go to Europe, don't ask for ice in your drink because it doesn't exist. Okay? And no, the beer is not hot. It's cool. Now, I have a question for you. If you took a piece of cheddar cheese and took it directly out of the refrigerator and ate it, would it have much flavor? No. But if you took it out of the refrigerator and let it warm up some, all of a sudden cheese has lots and lots of flavor. Beer's the same way. You got to realize they don't live in a climate where it's 100 degrees every day. But cool beer has more flavor than cold beer. Well, that's not my problem. Prepositions, let's go on. Neben means next to. Neben meinem Haus ist ein Park. Neben meinem Haus ist ein Park. Next to my house is a park.
Why is it capital?
Because it's the first word in a sentence.
Okay, so if it wasn't starting that sentence, you would have lowercase it.
If it's just, it's the first word in a sentence, so that's the only reason. But, you know, what she's getting at is everything that's a noun is always capitalized, but the first word in the sentence is also capitalized too. And actually, I meant to make that a little N right there, but it's got this autocorrect in it. When you do something else, all of a sudden, it's just dying to make that first letter at the beginning of the sentence a capital. It's like the autocorrect on your phone. You get an email from someone, you go, oh, I don't think they did that because the word got changed. Okay, seit. It's like since. Seit letztem Jahr ist glücklich. Seit letztem Jahr ist glücklich. Since last year is he happy. He's been happy since last year. Ohne, which means without. Ohne Wasser, die Kühe werden sterben. Ohne Wasser, die Kühe werden sterben. Without water, the cattle will die. Remember, this is future tense. Werden, will. That's in the future tense. The three tenses you should worry about is the present tense, the present perfect tense, which you use instead of the past tense because it's easier to form the verb form, and then the future. That's the three tenses you worry about. Next slide. Über. It's not Uber. Über. Above or about. Wir fahren über den Fluss. Wir fahren über den Fluss. We drive above the river. Über das weiß ich nicht. About that, know I nothing. Über das weiß ich nicht. Okay? And the Uber company, it means above. I guess they picked that for their car rental thing because they want to say we're above everybody else. Oh, there's also something of social significance that you should be aware of. There's a song called Deutschland, Deutschland über alles. And everybody says, oh, that's because the Germans wanted to conquer the world. That has nothing to do with it. When the first German Federation was founded in 1870, it was a federation of kings and their countries, like the Kingdom of Württemberg, the King of Bach, the King of Prussia, the King of Hanover. These are all the people that decided to form this country. And all the people, and the kings are telling all the people, well, you know, we've got this entity called Germany now, but you're supposed to be loyal to me, pay taxes to me, and to heck with them. They wanted to write a song where people would feel some fidelity and some loyalty toward greater Germany instead of their own little kingdom like Württemberg or whatever. That's what they were trying to do. Of course, it didn't work real good. The Bavarians still don't believe that they're really part of Germany, just like the Alsatians don't believe they're part of France. Okay. Boom. It means around, about, or in order to. Mitternacht. Mitternacht. Around midnight. Wir sind früh gekommen, einen guten Platz zu bekommen. Right, let's do it. Wir sind früh gekommen, einen guten Platz zu bekommen. We came early in order to get a good seat. Okay, next slide. Vorbei. That means over. Yeah. Okay. And this is one of my favorite phrases. Das ist schon vorbei. This is already over. Like somebody's talking to you about, okay, there's this big event and this didn't go right and this didn't go right and they're upset about it. And I always look at them and say, das ist schon vorbei. That's in the past. Forget about it. It's basically the way I'm saying, I don't want to hear you complain. Forget about it. Get over it. Whatever you want. Das ist schon vorbei. Von. Von can be used for possession. And we'll come back to this. Das ist das Buch von meiner Schwester. All right, let's say it. Das ist ein Buch von meiner Schwester. That is the book of my sister. Okay, and then zu. Remember zu, it's a Z, so it's like a TS, so you pronounce it like TSU, zu. It needs to. Ich gehe zu meinen Eltern. Ich gehe zu meinen Eltern. I go to my parents. It also means too much. Wir haben zu viel gegessen. All right, let's say that. Wir haben zu viel gegessen. We ate too much. Okay, next slide. Su can also be used as in what's called an infinitive clause. I'm learning about all these new grammatical structures in English that I didn't even know there were names for them. An infinitive clause. I'll say this and we'll say it together. Ich habe keine Zeit zu schlafen. Ich habe keine Zeit zu schlafen. It means I don't have enough time to sleep. And I know that schlafen means to sleep, so it's like to sleep, but I have no time to sleep. All right, the other one, wir haben nicht die Gelegenheit zu reden. Wir haben nicht die Gelegenheit zu reden. We did not have the opportunity to talk. Next slide. You use English phrasal verbs all the time. I didn't know that these had a name. What is a phrasal verb? It's an infinitive plus an adverb or a preposition. In G, English has got, well, German's got a whole bunch of them, but English, there's an article I found on the net that said 365 phrasal verbs in English. To come around, to come between, to come down with, to come out of, to come into, to come up with, to come over, to come back, to come through. And that's not all the C-O-M-E, all the come. We use these all the time. And it's everything that comes after the word come. It can be one word, it can be two words, it can be three words. To climb up, to climb down, to climb over, to stand up, to stand down, to stand between. Next slide. Oh, here we go. To go back, to go away, to go in, go out, go up, go down, go around, go over, beyond, go through with. To hand in, to hand out, to hand over, to hand back. Well, there's something similar to this in German. And they're called separable verbs, and I want you to know that they exist. I really doubt that you will ever use them that much. I try to stay away from them at all costs, but because I just can't really absorb it the way I did all the rest of the other German. The problem is some of them are really important verbs. So, what is a German phrasal verb? We talked about the phrasal verbs. A situation similar to phrasal verbs where you have an adjective or an adverb after the infinitive, like to come away, that sort of thing. Are these separable verbs that are separated into two parts in the present tense. The prefix of the verb moves to the back of the sentence instead of right behind the verb in English. And so that means the first part of next slide. The preposition on means to or on, okay? Is added as a prefix to the verb kommen, to come. And so it really means to come to, which is the same as to arrive. And this is the verb to arrive. And what's the new verb? Ankommen. Now, I will tell you right now, there's 25 or 30 verbs that have a prefix in front of kommen. And they all basically are these phrasal verbs that we use in English. Like to come come away, to come over, to come back. And it's like the Germans said, we're not going to waste these verbs. We're going to just use this verb kommen and put all these prefixes on it and make all these other verbs. Okay, next slide. Okay, in the separable verbs, the GE that is usually found at the beginning of many past participles is positioned between the prefix and the main verb. So for the verb ankommen, which means to arrive, the past participle is angekommen. Next slide. Okay, so we're going to talk about ankommen, and ankommen is in Blackie's dictionary. Kommt spät an. Let's say it together. Kommt spät an. He arrives late. Okay? If you use the present perfect tense, you can avoid having to move the on to the end of the sentence, though. The present perfect is always your friend. You should always learn all these past participles and always use the present perfect, because it works with the several verbs and you don't have to move the prefix to the end of the sentence. Ist spät angekommen. Use the past participle. Let's say that again. Es ist spät, ist spät angekommen. Wann wird kommen? It's also ankommen. Ankommen doesn't change. You don't have to take the prefix off when it's the future tense. So in the present tense, you use the past participle. In the future tense, you just use the infinitive form. And like I said, there are umpteen of these verbs. Next slide, please. Okay. Ankommen means to arrive. Abkommen means to come away, to go away. Hierkommen means to come here. Mitkommen means to come with. Next slide. Nachkommen is to come. Remember the word nach means after. Remember after school we could go eat ice cream. Nachkommen. Hereinkommen. For example, when people come to our house and I open the door, I always say kommen Sie herein, which means come in. Vorbeikommen, to come over. Zurückkommen, which means to come back. Wann kommen Sie zurück? Anyway, I just want you to know these things exist. You might see them in printed material. Okay, let's go on some other stuff. These are the past participles of the several verbs, and I know they look awful because you put the G in it, like it's ankommen, so it's angekommen. Hereinkommen, to come inside, is hereingekommen, zurückgekommen, angerufen, eingestiegen, ausgestiegen. I know. They're not a fun group of verbs, so let's quit talking about them. Let's move on. Now then, I got this out of Blackie's dictionary. The two really important verbs that you need to know the conjugation of is to have and to be. Now, what do you need to know those two? Because those are the words you use to form the present perfect tense, which you use as the past tense. He has told me. Okay? That's how we would say it instead of using the past tense. So, in German you say ich habe. In Alsatian you say ich han. Okay? In German you say du hast. In Alsatian you say du hast. Not really that far apart, are they? This is he, she, he, and it. Sie, es, hat, and it's a miracle. Alsatian is also hot. And over here, it's easy. It's just han, han, han. Okay? Wir haben, ihr habt, sie haben, but it would be wir han, ihr han, sie han. But I'm going to talk about this. For some reason, the Swabians and the Alsatians don't use WIR for we, which all other dialects of German use. They use mir or mer. Now, what's the problem with that? There's also mir, M-I-R, which is dative, meaning to me. So how do you know which one it is? Well, usually, I tried to think of a sentence where I could use mir as we, and then also to me, and I couldn't think of one, so I think they just don't show up in the same sentences. Okay? Okay, now this is to be. Ich bin. Okay? And it's the same. Ich bin. Du bist. Well, in Alsatian it's du bist. The Alsatians just take T's at the end of words. They always want to leave it an H. Sie, ist, ich. This is ich. Now, what you'll hear a lot of time is sich. It's a contraction of it is. Sich heißt heute. It is hot today. Okay, that's a contraction. Now, in German, we'd say wir sind, ihr seid, sie sind. Well, with the Alsatians, they just all want to sin. They just got to sin. We sin, they sin, everybody sins. They sin, but it's mir sin. Okay, so really, it's not really that far off. Now, I love colored maps, but I wonder, this is Swabia right here. Swabia actually lies in the German state of Baden and the German state of Württemberg, which were joined together after the Second World War to form Baden-Württemberg. But originally, Baden, I think, was a Grand Duchy, and Württemberg was a kingdom. The people that speak this Swabian dialect, it's very, very similar to Alsatian. There's three things that are similar. One of them is they use mir for the word we instead of wir, W-R, like the Germans do. Okay? You can see this language extends all the way. This is, by the way, this is not Mulhouse. It's Maluz. Maluz. Okay? Or you could say Mulhausen, but I've never heard anybody call it Mulhausen. Well, that's probably true. Okay, let's go to the next slide. What are the other things? Okay, this is that German mir and wir. In German, mir is the dative case and means to me. Hat mir gesagt. He has to me said. Gibst du mir. Give it to me. Okay? So when I think of mir, that's what I think of. To me. Well, in Alsatian, mir is also the dative case, meaning to me. But mir is also used instead of wir in the nominative plural for the word we. Now, I've noticed that some Alsatians say mir for we, and some say mer. And I don't know. But you know, Alsatian, believe it or not, every 20 miles going north to south in Alsace, which is not very big, it's only about 120 miles north to south, every 20 miles the dialect changes. So you can go online and you can listen to Alsatian from up around Strasbourg, and it's not going to sound exactly like the Alsatian from down at Mulhouse. Okay? What would that be like? We're somewhere and I talk to a guy at a gas station and he walks off and I look at you and say, he's from Bernie. I can tell by the way he speaks English. Can you imagine doing that? But that's what it is. Okay. That's the first thing. The other thing is Alsatians drop the GE off of past participles. For example, in Germany, you're going to toast somebody and you say Gesundheit. But in Alsace, you say Gesundheit. You leave the GE off. So English, okay, I go somewhere and I run into somebody and they're coming out of Jukes, the only Polish guy in town. Okay, they're coming out with some Alsatian sausage and a sack, and I can't see what's in there. And I want to say, what did you buy? What have you bought? German, was hast du gekauft? Alsatian, was hast du gekauft? Okay, so that's one of the things that's going to be different. So the Swabians and the Alsatians both use mehr instead of wir for we. They also drop the GEs off the past participles. And then the next thing is, evidently they don't have the genitive case. Yeah, here we go. Now this is according to Wikipedia, which in medical, about everything I ever read in Wikipedia that had to do with medicine or new drugs or how drugs work and all that, everything was correct. I found one little tiny mistake one time. According to Wikipedia, Alsatian does not use the genitive case to show possession. Instead, they use the dative case, or the preposition wo, which is from the German von, which we already talked about, from, plus the dative case to denotive. So, in German, or this is the way you say it in German, das Buch von meinem Bruder ist hier. Okay, let's say it. Das Buch von meinem Bruder ist hier. Okay, so that's the way they use the possessive case. So, the book of my brother. Okay, now see, look at this. This is all before you get to the second element. Oh, that should add a T on it. That's my bad typing. I'm a terrible typist. Yeah. Ist, it should be IST, ist here. So the book of my brother is here. My brother's book is here. That's the three things that I know, that I could find that where I know are different about Standard German and Alsatian. Next slide, please. There's all these different types of sayings in Alsatian that are in German that you think, well, what does that mean? First time I ever heard somebody say, es gibt viele Leute hier. There gives many people here. And I thought, well, what is this it gives? And I asked him, and I said, was bedeutet that? And he said, oh, that's how you say there are. I said, well, do you ever find that in any kind of a book? Probably not, but that's the way you say it. So if someone says, es gibt viele Leute, there are many people. If he said, es gab viele Leute, that means there were many people there. That's how you say there are and there were. It's just idiomatic. Next slide. Mal and einmal. I know that you've probably heard somebody use the word mal before. But you just didn't know it was mal because what they said was once. We need to eat once. What time is it once? Did your grandparents ever use once? My German grandparents used once to like a basket. One time my Oma said, we should go to town once. And I said, Oma, could we go twice if we wanted to? And she just looked at me like, you're such a strange child. But I remember, I heard once all the time, and yet. Once and yet. All right, how many people have heard that? Okay? Yeah? Well, that once, the construction is, it's einmal, which literally means one time. But people just leave the ein off and say mal. Like, you wouldn't say, ich muss einmal essen. You would say, ich muss mal essen. Okay? They just leave it off. So einmal literally translates as one time, but it's used like the English word once. So, I'm going to read this and we're going to read it together. Wir sollen einmal essen. Wir sollen einmal essen. Now, sollen is one of those modal verbs that help you form sentences without having to conjugate a verb. Essen means to eat. Alsatian is assa, which sounds a lot like ass to me, like Arschloh, you know. But that's just my observation. We should eat once. Mal is used in many ways, but mostly as time in the sense of a fixed instance. Okay, I'll read this. We'll read it together. Ich muss mal Geld bekommen. Ich muss mal Geld bekommen. I must once get money. Ich muss mal wohin gehen. Ich muss mal wohin gehen. It's I must go somewhere, but if a man says it, it means he has to go pee. Okay, it's a euphemism. Next slide. Okay, and you're going to get just mauled to death because there's mal. There's umpteen different things here. I'll read this and then we'll read it together. Letztes Mal sind wir spät. Letztes Mal sind wir spät. Last time we were late. Dieses Mal sind wir nicht spät. Dieses Mal sind wir nicht spät. This time we are not late. Das ist das dritte Mal in diesem Jahr, dass ich meine Handy verloren habe. Okay, das ist das dritte Mal in diesem Jahr, dass ich meine Handy verloren habe. Okay, remember those complex sentences? This is the trigger right here, this that. Okay, anytime you put a that in a sentence, that means the verb is for the dependent clause is going to have to go at the end here. But it's the third time. Like it's the third time I've lost my cell phone. I know some people who lose it every day. Okay, oftmals. All of a sudden there's going to be all these prefixes put on mal that are going to change the meaning of it. So, oftmals esse ich nur am Abend. Oftmals esse ich nur am Abend. Oftentimes I only eat at night. And I've got a list of all these at the end, all these different models. Next one. Danke vielmals. Thank you very much. Danke vielmals. You hear this a lot. If somebody asks you a question and you want to say never, like, trinkst du Bier? Do you drink beer? Niemals. I never do it. I've never heard a German say that. And I've never heard an Alsatian say that either. Well, there's always somebody that doesn't. Ich habe dir mehrmals angerufen. Ich habe dir mehrmals angerufen. I have called you many times. Okay? Manchmal, which means sometimes. Manchmal, ich bin den ganzen Tag müde. Manchmal bin ich den ganzen Tag müde. Sometimes I'm tired all day. We're not done with the models yet. Next one.
While you're talking about the models, you want to at some point interject the reference to our drinking song, Malupa Malapa? Does it correlate?
That's mostly about motions, and I don't remember that being is model in there.
Just like one time up, one time down.
Oh yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
It's almost. But they say it so fast that it doesn't sound like it.
So you're saying it's a difference.
M-O-L.
Like Einmol,
One
right?
time.
I think
I'm old, so it's like I'm old. I'd forgotten about that. I have to drink a lot of beer to sing that song.
What you're teaching us, that term is the same thing that's used in the song.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't, in the Alsatian, it's not mal, it's mol.
Okay.
It's once.
So another thing is you can use it as ever. Warst du mal in Alsace? Warst du mal in Alsace? Have you ever been to Alsace? Damals hatte ich keine Geld. Damals hatte ich keine Geld. Here, damals means back then, back in the past. Bier kostet zweimal als letztes Jahr. Bier kostet zweimal als letztes Jahr. Beer costs twice as much as last year. Next slide. Here they are. It's the Mal family. Einmal, Mal, letztes Mal, dieses Mal, dritte Mal, oftmals, vielmals, niemals, mehrmals, manchmal, zehnmal, damals, zweimal. And words like this, you just have to memorize them. But they're important components in language because they identify a particular place and time. Okay, let's just say them all together. Oh, now here we go. Einmal, mal, letztes Mal, dieses Mal, wieder Mal, oftmals, vielmals, niemals, mehrmals, manchmal, jemals, damals, zweimal. Okay, next slide. Milk. I will never forget, before I met Diane, I was at a new drug development conference in Heidelberg, and I went to a restaurant and I was eating this wonderful apricot chicken, and this young lady waiting on me was maybe, I don't know, I was 30 something, she was probably about the same age, and she decided that she would try to have pity on me and help me learn how to speak German better. So I got hit. It was a continual flow of German lessons. So, what was the mistake I made? I said, Ich möchte ein anderer Bier. I want another beer. And she put her hands on her hips and went, Das ist falsch. That's wrong. Okay, I said, sagst du mir? Tell me. What she told me was, if you want another beer, that means you want another brand of beer that's different than the one you just drank. If you want the very same beer you just drank, it's use the word noch, which means ich möchte noch ein Bier. I want still a beer, still another one. Okay?
Well, maybe,
Okay.
Can I tell you something?
Yes, ma'am.
Michael's grandmother used to, her version of cussing was "Dunder better noch einmal," which was saying nothing.
Still again.
Yeah, still again, but einmal.
Yeah, but it means still again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. So it means still, even, and it also means more. So noch conveys the sense of something in addition to or more of the same. Ich wohne noch in Alsace. Ich wohne noch in Alsace. I still dwell in Alsace. Mein Haus steht noch näher an der Straße. Mein Haus steht noch näher an der Straße. My house is even closer to the street. Next slide. Es gibt noch Essen in der Küche. Es gibt noch Essen in der Küche. That means there's still food in the kitchen. Können wir noch 2 Bier haben? Können wir noch 2 Bier haben? So when Diane and I are drinking beer, that's what we usually get a Pils Fassbier. Fass, F-A-S-S-B-I-E-R, means keg beer. And if the guy, usually I just say, the guy will look at me and I say, noch 2 Bier. Still 2 beers, which means we want the same one that we had before. And we already went through the whole beer thing, so we can skip that. Next slide. Wissen versus kennen. Both of them mean to know. But wissen means to know a fact. So it'd be like you saying, do you know how to change the battery in this car? That's fact, okay? To know, the other to know is, do you know Bill Smith? That means to be acquainted with someone or to know them personally. That's it. So there's two different knows. And this is misspelled. It's not supposed to have an A in it. And it's not in your handout. Kennen learning is to get to know someone or be acquainted with them. Next slide. We already did this once, but we'll do it again. Leben versus wohnen. Both of them mean to live, in a way. Leben means to live. Like, here, this sentence. Wie ist dein Leben? Wie ist dein Leben? How is your life? But wohnen means to dwell or reside somewhere. So that's why when you're talking to someone, and you would do this in Alsace too, if you want to know where they live, what village they're from, you say, wo wohnen Sie? Where do you dwell? You don't say, wo leben Sie? Wo wohnen Sie? Okay, so, here we go to this. Wo wohnen Sie? Wo wohnen Sie? Where do you live? Wo wohnst du? That's me and you, and we're good buddies or it's a little kid. Where do you live? Wo ist dein Wohnung? Wohnung is also a noun. Wo ist dein Wohnung? Where's your apartment? Wo ist dein Haus? Wo ist dein Haus? Where is your house? Okay, next slide. House and Heim. There's, I think it was a book, it was entitled, A House is Not a Home, which is correct. A house is just a building. A home is a building that have people that live in it that make up a family. Well, that's basically very similar. Now, there's a lot of geographical variation in this. Das Haus means the house. Das Heim means home, okay? But in Germany, das Zuhause also means home. So, for example, if I call someone and I want to speak to Diane in their house, I would say, Ist Diane zu Hause? Is she at home? But I know when John Wernett calls me, he said, Ist deine Frau nach Heim? Is she at home? Your Heimat is your native country. Some people use it like their hometown, but technically the Heimatstadt is the hometown. So if you say, Ich gehe nach Heim, I go home. Ich gehe zu Hause, I go home. Next slide. Numbers. Null. Null is how you say zero, okay? Now, the only place where you see the word ein with an S on the back of it is in numbers, eins. There's einen and einer and einem and all these other eins, but there's only one, and that's eins. So I'm going to say them the way you say them in German. Eins, zwei. Now, sometimes the word SPO is used for spy. For example, I'm a air traffic controller and I'm telling someone which runway to taxi his gigantic plane with 400 people on it on. Spy and drei sound so much alike, they want to make sure that there's no mistake there. So they will use the word SPO for two, because SPO doesn't sound like spy. So in certain situations you will hear the word SPO. So eins, zwei, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, oh, it's that autocorrect, capital S, acht, neun, zehn. Oh, there's another thing about numbers. Okay, I go into a Bäckerei in Alsace and I point at a food item, like a roll, and I do this. How many am I going to get? Two. Because that's one, and that's two. First time I went to Germany, they happened to me. I held up one finger and pointed at these brooches, these little breads, and she gave me two, and I thought, something's not right here. Yeah, so this is one, that's two. And while I'm thinking about it, don't ever, 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 anywhere in Europe do this for like A-OK. It means it means you're a perfect asshole. Some guy cut you off and you go like that. So don't do that. Okay, next one. Oh, elf. It's elf. Now, the rest of it is just like Spanish. How do you count in Spanish? Okay, once, dos, catorce, etc. But eventually you get to well, wait, what is 15? No, it goes on. It's the same as in German. So, but you see it's 3 and 10, 4 and 10, 5 and 10, 6 and 10, 7 and 10. That's the way. So it's easy to remember it. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Next numbers. Okay, all of these end in ZIG for 20, 30, 40, but you don't pronounce the ZIG the way you think you would. You pronounce it like it's sish. Okay? So this is 20 for 20. 30, 40, 50, and so on. They say. Okay, and then we get to 100. And how do you, next slide. I don't know what you're, Hundert. Hundert. Oh, what, in the handout, you'll notice several places that I didn't put it. I put the instead of a German word. Okay. Now, it's like Spanish, okay? You know, 21, or not, let's see, it's like 21, you know, a certain number plus 1. I can't remember how to do it in Spanish. But it's the same in German. You say 21, 1 and 20, 6 and 70, 6 and 70. That's what you're saying. And then 1844 is 1844. Okay, so it's just the counting is just like in Spanish. Okay, the times of the day. Der Morgen. Okay, now a lot of times in all parts of Germany, people drop the N and say Morgen. Okay? Der Mittag. Mit, M-I-T-T, is like middle. Okay? Der Mittag, that's noon. Der Nachmittag, remember Nach means after, so it's afternoon. Der Abend, der Nacht, and der Mitternacht, the middle of the night. Now, what I love about German, I already talked about this once. When I was a kid, we ate breakfast, dinner, and supper. And now all of a sudden people are eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, in German, there's never any mistake what you mean, because what you eat at noon is their Mittagessen. And what you eat at night is their Abendessen. And what you eat in the morning is not even close, it's called Frühstück. We'll talk about that in a minute. The days, der Tag, that's day. Die Woche, that, remember it's a V. This is not in your handout, because I just thought of it after I made the slides up after I got the handout printed today. The day before yesterday is vorgestern, but it's spelled right here. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's right. It's not on yours. Yesterday is gestern, today is heute, tomorrow is morgen, and the day after the morgen is übermorgen. But what drives me nuts is I hear people say, they'll be talking and they'll say, heute Morgen. Well, which is it? Is it today's morning or is it tomorrow morning? I always hate that when they do that, and I always say, kannst du das erklären? Can you explain that? But I've heard heute Morgen said so many. I always say heute, today. Next slide. Days of the week. It's all the ancient mythological gods that the Germanic people and the Norwegian and Swedish people, the Vikings and everybody had. Monday is the word for moon in German is Mond, M-O-N-D, and it was Monday, Montag. Dienstag, it's another Norse figure from Germanic mythology, but I didn't put it on there. Wednesday, I love this. Remember, mit, M-I-T-T-O, means middle of? Okay, Mittwoch. It's the middle of the Woche. It's the middle of the week. Okay, and then Thursday is Donnerstag. If you don't know what the word Donner is, you've never listened to the Christmas poem, Donner and Blitzen? Come on, guys. Thunder and lightning? Or did you not know that that's when? So it's Donnerstag. It's Thor's Day, Thunder Day. Freitag is Freya's Day. She was a lady mythical figure. Saturday is Samstag. It says Saturn's Day, but actually it comes from I later on found from an older German word that had to do with the day of rest. And then you have Sunday, which is Sonntag. So Son means sun. Okay, what's next? Alles versus alle. Alles means everything. Alle, or allen, means everyone. So, wir haben alles gemacht. Let's say it. Wir haben alles gemacht. We have done everything. Alle sind glücklich. Alle sind glücklich. Everybody is happy. Okay? And you know what the problem about... Oh, no, I'm not going to go on that. Never mind. Next slide. Now, these are not really expressions. I was thinking, okay, we'll do more pronunciation. There's something I found on the internet. It said 170 common German expressions, and it's just things that you hear all the time. Now, the way you start learning a lesson is you learn phrases first. Okay? That's the first thing you do. You know, it's just kind of rote memory, but that's where you get the basis of it. And then you have to build on things after that when you start to learn to be able to form sentences. So, these are some of the expressions that I'm just going to go through them and we'll pronounce. I'll read them and then we're going to read them together. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen. Now, I'll tell you that in Alsatian, they say Guten Morgen. It's G-U-umlaut-E-T-A. Well, what does it U-umlaut mean? U-E. So it's spelled G-U-E-E-T-A, and I don't know why that extra E is in there. I have no idea, unless you're really supposed to prolong that Guten Morgen. I don't know. Guten Tag? Yeah. Guten Abend? Guten Nacht. Okay. Wie geht es dir? Wie geht es dir? How goes it with you? Dir is you, just one person. Plural is euch. Yeah. And that we're going to get to that next. Wie geht es euch? How does it go with you? Now, what I've heard people say would say, wie geht es euch alle? You, like you all of you. Okay. Now, how do you answer? Now, I can tell you, I heard my Schwiegervater, my father-in-law, Edson, answer. He always gave the same answer, ziemlich gut, which is like, it's all right, it's okay. I never heard him say gut. Now, what if it's bad? Well, if it was really bad, he'd just say scheiße. But you can also say schlecht. Schlecht means bad. Okay. So you ask somebody, you can say, mir geht es gut. Danke. It goes good. Thank you. So mir geht es gut. Danke. Or if it's not good, mir geht es nicht gut. It does not go good with me. And that's no finger. Es geht ziemlich gut. It's ziemlich good. It means ziemlich means somewhat. And then what you don't want to hear is es geht schlecht bei mir. This is misspelled on yours. Es geht schlecht bei mir. It's going badly for me. Can I have the next slide? Okay. Some of this is not going to make any sense because you don't know the vocabulary. But es tut mir leid is one always that you want to learn. Es tut mir leid. It means, it gives me sorrow. It means I'm sorry. For example, you bump someone and you spill their coffee, you can say, oh, es tut mir leid. I'm sorry. Okay? So let's say that. Es tut mir leid. Yeah. Bis bald. You already know that one. Until soon. Bis später. Until later. Auf Wiedersehen. Wiedersehen. Goodbye. Well, this is, I left the E out of Wiedersehen. Okay, I told you I couldn't type. Wieder means again. Kannst du das wieder machen? Can you that again make? So it's again see. Okay, so to see you, until I see you again, is what you're saying. Auf Wiedersehen. Oh, I love this word. Tschüss. Isn't that a great word? Tschüss. Okay, you see a bunch of teenagers on a corner and they've gone somewhere and they're going their separate ways and they'll say, cheers, cheers, cheers. The girls really do it. It's a cheers party. But you hear it all the time. And I like it. It's got a nice sound to it. It comes out real easy and it's just easy to say. But cheers. It's like, bye-bye. Okay. Einen schönen Tag noch. A nice day still. Oh, we're back to north. would be, Entschuldigen Sie mich bitte. Please excuse me. But people never say that. They just say Entschuldigen, which means excuse me, sorry. Okay. Brauchen is to need. Ich brauche Hilfe. Ich brauche Hilfe. Or wir brauchen Hilfe. Dankeschön. Beautiful things. Dankeschön. That remind me of, what was that guy's name? No, somebody's day off. Yeah, Ferris Bueller. I love that. I love that song. Okay. Now then, someone does something nice for you, and you say, Vielen Dank für Ihre Hilfe. Let's say it together. Vielen Dank für Ihre Hilfe. Now, one of the things when someone thanks you, you can just say, Nicht zu danken, but not to thanks, which is like you're welcome. It's like you don't have to thank me. It's like Nicht zu danken. Okay, this is one you probably will use a lot. Ich verstehe nicht. Now in Alsatian it's knit, which reminds me too much of those little things, knits that you have when you have lice in your hair. Okay, ich verstehe nicht. And this is also another important one. Kannst du langsam sprechen? Kannst du langsam? Let's wait, I left the S out of that. Kannst du langsam sprechen? Sorry, I'm terrible typing. Or you can just look at someone and go, langsam bitte? Slower, please? Langsam bitte? Okay. Kannst du das wiederholen? Kannst du das wiederholen? Can you repeat that? Okay? Now then, forget about this A here. Das stimmt. This is when somebody says something to you and you want to say, yeah, that's right. Basically, I agree with you. There's a lot of these words that are interjected that I still don't have a handle on. Like one of them is na, or also was. There are all these different words. When I went to Hessen and met all my Hessen relatives, long ago, one brother came to Texas back in the 1880s, and the other brother stayed in Germany. And so I met the other brother's descendants. And when I was talking to them, they would say something, and then they'd say, Gil? Gil. And I thought they were saying Gelb, G-E-L-B, which means yellow, but that didn't make sense. Then I thought they were saying G-E-L-D, which means money. But I finally figured out it's da-da-da-da. Isn't that right? That's what the Gel meant to me. Don't you agree? It took me forever to figure out what they were saying, and it's just something that they do in Hessen. Like in Hessen, there's a lot of words that start with G that they started with a K. Remember I told you G's and K's were interchangeable? Gucken means to look. Like, gucken Sie einmal. Look one time. Look once. But they don't say gucken, they say gucken. And they don't say gucken Sie einmal, they say guck mal. Guck mal. So I had to figure that one out too. It's always fun when you go somewhere and you gotta decipher what people are telling you. Okay, hast du Hunger? Okay, now Lisa can tell you a story about this, and she said, go ahead and tell them the story. What Sabine asked you one day?
Okay, Sabine Meyer, when we were over in Alsace and we were standing in line to get into a restaurant, and she was trying to figure out how to say it to me in English, and what she said was, you have hunger? And
Yeah.
what? But yeah, and that's the same way I think that you would say it in Spanish. It's tiene hambre. So she was saying this to me in her sentence construction, but with English words.
Well, that's it. So, but in German, this is the way you say it. Hast du Hunger? Do you have hunger? They don't say, are you hungry? Have you hunger? Have you thirst? Okay. Hast du Hunger? Are you hungry? Hast du Durst? Hast du Durst? Are you thirsty? Okay, this is breakfast. Frühstück. It basically means early stuff. Frühstück. And that's breakfast, early stuff. So you have Frühstück, and then you have the der Mittagessen, and then you have the Abendessen. Okay, Abendessen. Ich möchte einen Tisch reservieren. Okay, now, notice I said reservieren. Remember, V is pronounced like an F. Okay. Ich möchte, and möchten, I've read some more about that. And I've heard it, everybody use möchten. It means I would like to. Remember when you say ich will, it's like I want now. But if you say ich möchte, it's like I'm a lot more mellow. I would like to. Okay. It says, you hear people use it all the time, every day, because people want to be polite. So, ich möchte einen Tisch reservieren. Ich möchte einen Tisch reservieren. Okay, next slide. Einen Augenblick. Wait a minute, it literally means, an Augen means eye and a blick is a blink. An eye blink, please? So it's a really, really short period of time. It's like, in Swabian they also have this verb, this word's called movesägele. And it means a gnat's scrotum. So you're cooking and you're putting spices in there, and someone says, you say try it and taste it, and it just doesn't have quite enough salt. They'll say, no, I'm movesägele salz, just a gnat's scrotum of salt. It means just a little bit. And there's another one in German, but I don't want to say that one. In other German. Okay. Können wir die Speisekarte haben, bitte? Können wir die Speisekarte haben, bitte? Can we have the food card? Don't say menu. Because if you say, can we have the menu, you just ordered a complete three-course meal. Okay? This is the food card, Speise. Speise is food, Karte. We call it a menu, but that's not the same. In Germany, a menu is a set meal with a series of dishes that are served as one meal with like a fixed price. It's usually an appetizer, that's Vorspeise. I think I misspelled it in yours and put F-O-R because I forgot. A main dish, the Hauptspeise, and a dessert, Nachtisch. What does Nach mean? After. What does Tisch mean? Table. It's after table. Okay? So when you see the Speisekarte and it says menu, it'll have 2 or 3 appetizers listed. You pick 1, 2 or 3 Hauptgericht is what I think they use, main courses, and then 2 or 3 desserts. And it costs, say, 40 euros. And it's usually a better financial deal to get the menu like that. But the Speisekarte means that you want to look at all the different types of food that are available. So it's not the same as the menu. Okay, next slide. Können Sie etwas empfehlen? Können Sie etwas empfehlen? Can you recommend something? You're talking to the waiter. Guten Appetit. Well, that's like bon appetit. This is one you only hear in certain parts of Germany. It means let it taste good. You say, lass es schmecken. But what you'll hear mostly is people say, das schmeckt gut. It tastes good. Okay. Nicht für mich, danke. Nicht für mich, danke. Nothing for me, thanks. Das ist alles. That's everything, that's all. Ich bin satt. It means I am sated. Okay? Like you've heard the word insatiable, which means you can't ever, the desire to do it, it never goes away. Well, satt is the opposite of that. You're full. And remember, you don't say I am full because that's saying I'm drunk. Unless you really are. The last one is the Rechnung bitte. The Rechnung bitte. The check, please. La cuenta, por favor. Okay, next one. Kann ich eine Quittung haben, bitte? Kann ich eine Quittung haben, bitte? Can I have a receipt, please? Now, one thing I will tell you that I really like about going to restaurants in Germany and France, the waiter comes over and he has this little electronic device, and you put your credit card in it, and he rings it up, and he gives you the bill, and he gives you your credit card right back, and it never left your sight.
That's a good thing.
which means nobody could skim it. Like in the United States where they always have to haul it off somewhere to do something. So that's one really good thing about it, is it all takes place right there in front of you and you get your card back right away. Okay. Hilfa! Hilfa, come on, we need help. Hilfa! Feuer! Rufen Sie die Polizei. Ooh, I misspelled Polizei. Put an extra L on it. Call the police. Wo ist das Krankenhaus? Krank means sick. Where's the sick house? Wo ist die Krankenhaus? Here, wo ist die Apotheke? Wo ist die Apotheke? Apothecary. Mir ist schlecht. I feel ill. Ich fühle mich nicht gut. What you're going to actually say is, ich bin krank. Ich bin krank. I am sick. Es ist ein Notfall. It's an emergency. I just had a thought. What if you fell down and got a knot on your head from a fall? That would be a knot fall. So Notfall, you can remember it that way. It's an emergency. Und ich verspreche, das zu tun. I promise to do that. See, sprechen means to talk, but versprechen means to promise. There are all these German verbs where they just put a prefix on it and make another verb out of it. Okay, now that's it. I want to talk a little bit about where you are right now. I know you probably remember about my conversation I had with Renee Cronenberg. And I asked Renee about his children that were born in Norway, and of course they spoke Norwegian, and they spoke French. And I asked him if they spoke Alsatian. And he said, yes, I taught them Alsatian after they learned German. He said, because you can't really understand Alsatian unless you know to speak German. And I said, well, how many years of German had they had before you started on Alsatian? And he said, 2. How many of y'all had? 4 hours? Why am I telling you this? Because you're going to have to be patient. You know, it's not going to be a real easy thing to do. Now, when Carrie Zinsmeyer was here one time, she said something which I thought was absolutely right on the money. She said, I think what we ought to do is we ought to have something that like Stammtisch. Now, I don't know if you know what Stammtisch is. If you go into any German beer house, there's always a table, and on there's a sign that says Stammtisch. That means that's where all the regulars sit. If you're an outsider, you do not sit there, or you're going to be in big trouble. And a family tree is called a Stammbaum. Well, the word Stamm actually means tribe, for like the Alsatian clan that lives here. Tribe, okay. So it's like the tribal table. It's all the guys, the regular guys. But anyway, Stammtisch, I would call it a Sprachtisch. But she said, we all need to get together and then learn how to form sentences together and work on it together, and then that way we can actually speak. And I think that's a great idea. It's all about repetition and speaking. And you can't be afraid to make mistakes. A mistake is a Fehler, remember? The Deutsche Sprache Fehlerpolizei, the German mistake language police, you remember those people? Well, none of those people exist here in Castroville. You don't have to worry about that. Diane and I are going to leave. Next Monday night, we will be in Baden-Baden, Germany at the Christmas market. Well, it's supposed to rain that day. I don't think it's going to be a lot of fun.
How do you say umbrella in German?
Regenschirm. Anyway, we're not going to be back to the 14th, so I'm really sorry I'm not going to be here next week. One of the things I am going to do in January is I'm going to start a German Stammtisch. And if any of y'all are interested in learning more German, you're welcome to do it. We'll try to find some time that's, after work, because I know some of you still work, probably. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Enjoy your youth, that's what I say. We'll find a time to have it, and we'll get together. And originally I was going to make it with people who already know how to speak German. There's some German speakers I know, but that's not going to help y'all any. But we could start one where we sit down and you say, I want to say this sentence, how do you form the sentence? And we could talk about it. So, if you're interested, you know how to get in touch with me. That's not going to start till January. Other than that, I wish you good luck in everything, and I know that Les is going to take good care of you. Okay? Vielen Dank für alles. Es war so ein Vergnügen, hier zu sein. Many thanks for everything. It was a pleasure to be here. Cheers!
Yeah, Bill Shearhart wanted y'all to know that he will be here next class with dictionaries in hand. So
Do we
he,
know how much they're gonna be?
15.
I want to say 15, and that basically covers the cost of his printing and so forth. But he did put on the group that he will be here next class, dictionaries in hand. So everybody have a good Thanksgiving. We will come back Monday. I think we'll be through the Thanksgiving weekend by then. So the plan is we have class again next Monday. And I may be heading up to Austin for a Texas Attorney General Open Government Open Records Conference, continuing education. So I may not be here with y'all next week, but I'll catch you the following week. And please, if y'all would, please check. Is everyone here on the ALPS Facebook group? Because once you get your dictionaries, we may start telling you what to start memorizing and which flashcards to start making. All right? All right. Thank you. Yes. I can help you check. Yeah. All right. Anybody have any questions before y'all head out? Come see us afterwards if you do. Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving.